Rocky Top Insider presents the RTI Lowdown with Bob Baskerville and Chris Lowe.
Welcome. It's time for another episode of the RTI Lowdown. I'm Bob Baskerville, joined as always by my guy, Chris Lowe. Got a big show today, a lot to talk about. Got a great guest, Reese Chapman, volunteer baseball player. Tennessee volunteers, not just playing for free. But we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk football. College basketball's upon us. Got a great show. Got a great show. But before I say hello to Chris, I do want to say, got to check the show out. We appreciate you watching and listening to us. We're available on the Rocky Top Insider YouTube channel. So if you're there, like and subscribe if you haven't done that already. And then podcast. It's available as a podcast to you as well, just pretty much anywhere you listen to your podcasts. So definitely appreciate you supporting the show. And if you're new to the show, keep supporting it. We're going to have a good string of episodes as we go towards the home stretch of football season and then into basketball season and beyond. Today's episode, we're excited to welcome our first sponsor, the Tate Insurance Group, who is helping make this show possible. We appreciate their partnership, and we look forward to talking more about their services and products in the coming weeks. Like I said, big show today. Let's say hello to my co-host who just came in off the road this weekend. He is a road warrior every weekend. Got a pretty good gig covering college sports all over the country. Chris, how are you, man?
I'm great, Bob. It's good to do a Monday show. I know you're right. I like going on, and I want to thank my good friend Scott Tate for hooking up with us. And man, I've known Scott for a long time, and his son Jake and my son Adam play hoops together. That's how we met. And he's had my insurance, homeowner, car, every bit of it. I can't tell you a time that I have called there about anything, my roof needing redone, something car related, that I didn't get a call back within 2 or 3 minutes, or usually get somebody on the line and they're right on top of it. But he sat down with me when I switched over. He himself went through my entire homeowner's insurance policy and said, hey, you're probably going to need to do this, this, and this. I'm not sure you need that. And boy, that was just really, it's invaluable to have someone like that who's got your insurance. So great to have Scott with us, who is a former athlete himself and just all around good dude who entrenched in this community.
That's awesome. Yeah, we do appreciate them partnering with us for sure. So let's get to the show. It's, quite a weekend for Tennessee athletics. After saying goodbye to our beloved baseball coach, Tony Vitello, the weekend started with the naming of Tony V's successor, and it turned out to be the people's choice. So that's the good news, and we'll talk a little about that later in the show. And then, of course, the football game, which was impressive on some levels, a little concerning on some others. But let's get to it. Let's start with that action in Lexington. You know, Chris, it was crazy to think that this game had some people concerned, but this is a border war with Kentucky, and it's often ended in close final scores. That said, this season's edition of Kentucky football is not good. They really presented an opportunity, in my opinion, for the Vols to have a get-right game on Kroger Field, and offensively, it was all of that. Over 500 yards total offense in the Vols' 56-34 win. That said, they allowed 476 yards of offense and 34 points to a Kentucky team that was averaging less than 16 points per game in SEC play this season. But the Vols become bowl eligible with a hell of a game. Just an amazing performance by Joey Aguilar and the Tennessee receivers. But again, even more questions and concerns about that defense emerge as we head into a key matchup with Oklahoma. And it's more about how we rate in terms of being playoff eligible. It's like, that's the part we're going to have to talk about today. Chris, I know you were on the road a lot this weekend, and you probably saw at least bits and pieces of the game, but I just wanted to get your top line takeaway before we dig in a little bit.
College football has really, Bob, become playoff or bust for everybody. It's changed so much. talking to somebody in the LSU administration there this weekend, who were about to get busy the next day,
Yes.
pushing Brian Kelly out. Who's going to be the coach next week that gets fired, right? Every week we're going to have somebody at a top 10 job. But they made the place, used to be at this time, everyone's sort of jostling for a bowl spot. Hey, we want to let's see if we can get in position to be in the old days, the IPAC Bowl, the Citrus Bowl, the New Year's Six Bowl. Those days are over. It's really become playoff or bust. And I think that's where we are with Tennessee. Can Tennessee get back into the playoff now as we get ready to head into November? They've looked like a playoff team on offense, not so much on defense. And I wouldn't say that they haven't had contributions from the defense. I think that's fair. You get to this point in the season and one side of the ball maybe is not playing as well. It's sort of easy. It's almost low-hanging fruit, really, to sort of beat up on that side of the ball. Well, let's not forget, you probably beat Mississippi State because of your defense. You have 2 defensive touchdowns in that game, or your butt's going back to Knoxville with a loss. And you win in overtime. So it's not like the defense has not contributed. It's not playing at a high level right now. They're not stopping people. They're giving up too many big plays, too many yards. I mean, you go back to that Kentucky game. Kentucky makes it 28-21, but I don't know about you. I never felt like Kentucky was going to win that football game.
Right.
I mean, I never did. And if Tennessee is playing against a better offense that day, a better quarterback, a better group of receivers, better offensive line, then maybe they're in trouble. And they're going to see that starting with Oklahoma this Saturday night in Neyland Stadium. But I don't know. I mean, I go back and forth on whether Tennessee's a playoff team. I think they're close. I think they play a lot of close games. No, that one Saturday wasn't one, but you think of their season right now. They won one in OT. They lost one in OT. They won a pretty close game against Arkansas at home. So I look at Tennessee in a group of about 4 or 5 teams in the SEC. To me, Texas A&M has sort of separated itself. I think that Ole Miss has really sort of separated itself. Alabama, those 3 right now to me are, even though Georgia beat Ole Miss, and I think Georgia maybe is right on the outside looking in, are probably the best 3 or 4 teams. But then I think Tennessee is poised to jump in that mix, if they can get it right on defense in one of some of these key games. They're going to have a tough November. This will be when you look at Florida, the fact that Tennessee never, ever wins this
right.
Oklahoma, John Mateer should be a healthier version of John Mateer. The Oklahoma quarterback comes to Neyland. I think that's great for the Vols, though, that they get to play at night. And then Vanderbilt, who's to me in that same group as Tennessee, right on the outside, maybe on the border of being a playoff team. Who knows, Bob? Maybe on, a November 28th or 29th game?
Yeah.
Maybe Tennessee for a play-in game to get in the playoff. How about that?
It's crazy. It's crazy. And I agree with you. We'll get to the offense here momentarily, but the one thing I'll say about the defense, and that's what I'm concerned about. There's been a lot of chatter about that the defense, it didn't really matter Saturday night. There's probably a little bit of truth to that. What I'm more concerned about is looking ahead, just what you said. I think, namely, you mentioned Vanderbilt. I mean, the way I've been watching Vanderbilt run offense, that's not a Kentucky offense. That's much, much better. And if we don't get our defense tuned up a little more, at least, that's going to be major trouble. I don't care that it's in Neyland. I don't care that it's Vanderbilt. I think that they are playing at a very, very different level right now. Doesn't mean we can't beat them, but I do think our defense needs to start to make some adjustments of some sort, because we're in kind of nut cutting time right now. This is going to be a really, really tough time. So, but let's talk about this offense, because that is really the bright spot of this weekend, in my opinion. That was the biggest takeaway. The offense was dialed in. They played clean. Besides being explosive, no turnovers, only 1 sack allowed, limited penalties. And by the way, they only had the ball for 24 minutes of possession in this game. And that is because the passing game was ridiculous. Joey Aguilar had, his numbers were amazing. 20 of 26 for 396 yards, 3 touchdowns, QBR of 243. He was 7 of 7, Chris, for 267 yards on pass plays over 20 yards in this game. I mean, this was, boy, I was a little concerned about Joey in that game after, coming off the heels of the Alabama game, that horrible pick six, all of those things. Looks like he washed the Alabama game right out of his hair. That was a really, really like legacy performance offensively for Joey Aguilar.
Well, this offense, when it's efficient like that, which they clearly were very efficient, you point out they didn't have the ball a lot, but they just continued to drive the football and score and finish drives. That's the thing. When they're going like that, Bob, and you go back the whole time Josh has been here, and they're that efficient and they don't have these self-inflicted type penalties, they don't turn the football over, they're going to be a team more times than not that's going to hit you with 40+. They just are. That's who they've been. And you saw that. I think probably as efficient a performance as we've seen from Tennessee this year. And listen, I think we all probably underestimated the fact that Joey is an experienced dude. He has played a lot of football.
Yeah.
Now, granted, he's coming in new. He's learning a new system. He's learning new teammates at Tennessee. But it's not like this guy hasn't played a lot of football. And I think you're seeing that. You're right. He bounced back from that Alabama deal, the turnover, the awful turnover before the half. Guys who haven't played a lot, guys who have not played on those stages, sometimes you struggle to do that. One loss becomes two. One bad game becomes two bad games. Joey didn't let that happen. And again, I think that's why he is sort of the engine for this offense. In a lot of ways, the engine for this team.
Yeah.
When he plays like that and plays at that level with that kind of confidence, that kind of efficiency, everyone just seems to follow. And you go back when they got him in the spring portal. They didn't get him in the winter portal. They got him in the spring portal. He was there, just happened to be there. Everything just meshed right. The moon and the stars. Nico goes to UCLA.
Right.
He didn't want to sit behind Nico. I want to look for someone else to play. He played just across the mountain in Appalachian State. Before going to UCLA, Tennessee's able to get him. I heard his name right away. Right away, they said, hey, what's this kid at UCLA? Played at Appalachian State, Joey Aguilar. I think he'll fit perfectly in what Josh Heupel wants to do on offense. And guess what? He has. So it's a sign of where we are right now in college football. You better get good guys out of the portal, guys who can play, guys who are talented, but you better get the right guy. And he was absolutely the right guy, quarterback for Tennessee.
Absolutely. He throws maybe the prettiest deep ball I've seen from any of our quarterbacks, even Hendon, with all due respect to Hendon, who had an amazing final season. But, man, some of those passes Saturday night were amazing. And then the other thing I would say is, remember how we talked about going into the season? I think we were all worried. The wide receiver room was a cause for concern. I don't think so. They got healthy. We had 3 guys Saturday night, CeeLo, with over 100 yards receiving. Brazel, 4 catches, 138 yards and a touchdown. Mike Matthews, 6 catches, 107 yards, a touchdown. Braylon Staley, 6 catches, 105 yards. This wide receiver corps, not very deep. We know that right now because of injuries and whatnot. But, man, they have been so effective, and they are just, God, are they benefiting from the efficiency we were just talking about with Joey?
Yeah, if you're going to have a good pass game, you got to have chemistry. You've got to be on the same page with your quarterback. And Joey does throw a very catchable football. He is a good deep ball passer, and those guys have caught most of those plays. And I think the thing they're starting to do better now, too, is they're catching the ball, not just now, but I think they have been. They're catching the ball in tight windows, and he's putting it where they can go get it. There clearly is a trust, Bob, between those receivers and their quarterback, and which all the more impressive is they didn't work much together.
Yeah.
The summer is so important in a pass game.
Yeah.
Getting your timing and your chemistry down, throwing all the time, routes 7-on-7, all those things. That's where your pass game is. That's where you polish it up and you get ready to go in the season. And they didn't have much time to do that, which is, to me, again, just underscores what they've been able to do, what Joey's been able to do. But no, I think it's heartening for Tennessee fans to see the receivers come through, because that's been a little bit of a sore spot the last few years. Listen, there's no secret. Mike Matthews was a 5-star kid who was on everyone's All-America, high school All-America list. He comes to Tennessee, didn't do much. And now he's starting to play like a 5-star. He's starting to play like his billing. Brazel's a kid who was pretty well thought of in the portal. And again, had his moments, but was not consistent. So when you go get guys like that who are 5-star players, guys who are coveted in the portal, you want them to play like that. And I think they're playing to that degree now and playing at that level. And it makes Tennessee's offense just you see what happened Saturday when they all play that. And Joey spreads the football around, which he has.
Yeah.
And I think that's the other thing. If you know the quarterback's going to get you the ball, when you run the route you're supposed to run and you get open and you get separation and you know he's going to see you, you know he's got enough feel in the pocket to find you and put it where he's supposed to put it, that makes a huge difference for a receiver. You're gonna fight to get open, and I think that's what you're seeing in these guys right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we always hang our hat on the running game, and the running game was it took backseat to the receiving and passing game in this particular matchup. That said, it was still very serviceable. Collectively, 108 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns on the ground. Deshaun Bishop with 2 of them, and then Star Thomas and Peyton Lewis each got 1 apiece. But it was really good complementary football on the offensive side on Saturday night. And I want to stick with a few more superlatives on Joey Aguilar and also the Vols receiving corps. Joey is now statistically the top quarterback in the SEC. He's ranked first in total yards with over 2,300 yards. He is first in passing yards per game. He is first in QBR. He's second in TDs with 18, and my guess is the person that's first is probably Ty Simpson. So with that said, also second in average yards per completion. So, I mean, just top tier in just about every way. Forget about that pick 6 against Alabama. This guy's had an unbelievable season. So enough about Arch Manning, enough about Garrett Nussmeier. Frankly, even Diego Pavia, and even to a certain degree, it's more of a toss-up with Ty Simpson than people believe. The Vols have a quarterback that's as good as any of them, Chris. And, I mean, again, it's like what you said earlier. Sometimes things happen for a reason, and there is a little bit of serendipity that happened with Joey coming to Knoxville. But, man, I can't even imagine what this team would be like, quite honestly, if we had stayed the course with the quarterback from last season.
Well, yeah, no, I guess hindsight's hard. I do think Nico would have gotten better
Sure.
another year. I mean, that was his first year as a starter. He didn't have the experience that Joey did. And, you know, in the same offense, the same coach, I do think he would have been a better football player, more consistent. But he didn't want to be here. And Joey clearly did want to be at Tennessee. And he's reaping the benefits, and Tennessee's reaping the benefits. And I can't say it enough, and I can't say it loud enough. You better hit it right now in the portal. You look across college football, how many guys are starting quarterbacks that were in the portal that did not start their careers where they are? I mean, guys like Gunnar Stockton, you mentioned Ty Simpson, I mean, they're the rarity.
Yeah.
They're the exception. And so to get a guy, again, like a Joey Aguilar in the spring portal is – you know, that's not going to happen all the time. And Tennessee was able to do it. I do think he's playing at a level that, I mean, I think if you pump Truth Serum and Josh Heupel and Joey Halsley and everybody over there, he's playing at a level they would have hoped he would have played at, but I guarantee you they didn't quite see this. I don't know that anybody did, coming in so quickly and having to plug him in. And yet he's doing that. And I still think that they can play better. You know, they didn't run the ball much. They didn't have to run the ball much.
Right.
Against Saturday, because they could throw where they could. But you're right. The quarterbacks, you know, it's like schedules. When you look at quarterbacks and schedules in August, they look different when you start to get to late October, November. And all the scouts, everybody, coaches, media, it was Lagway, it was Sellers, it was Nussmeier coming into this season, Arch Manning. And you look at the quarterbacks right now, and I agree with the 3 you mentioned. To me, Ty Simpson's playing better by the country right now.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody his ability to make plays off script in clutch situations has been incredible. And then he's another guy, Bob. I mean, I don't think anybody expected, which again is a reminder to all of us in the business, you know, when we started making predictions, the kid's been on campus for 4 years. He's sort of the antithesis of Joey. He's been there for 4 years and hadn't played.
Yeah.
and gets a shot this year, and he may win the Heisman Trophy. But you got to hit it right at that position. It is, to me, quarterback is the most important position in all of sports. And Tennessee got a keeper in Joey.
Yeah. Just to put a bow on this, too, again, more superlatives. Vol receiving core. We just talked about how they had such a glow up on Saturday night. They're as good as it gets in the SEC. The top 4 receiving yard leaders in conference play, 3 of them are Tennessee Vols. Number 1 is Chris Brazzell. Number 2, Braylon Staley. And then Mike Matthews at number 4. Isaac Satania is in there at 3rd. So the only non-Vol in the top 4. So again, the offense is dealing, and it's a good thing because I'm afraid that's the type of team we're going to see. This is more like 2022 in that we're going to need 35, 40 points a game to win because we talked about this defense. Cutter Boley, the Kentucky quarterback, good-looking young quarterback for sure, but 330 yards passing, 5 TD passes, a true freshman wide receiver. DJ Miller gets 120 yards receiving, 2 TDs. It's this whole boom or bust vibe of this defense, Chris, that's kind of frustrating because Idris Farouk had a great pick 6. So, I mean, explosive plays, we got them. We're tied for the lead, I think, nationally in defensive touchdowns. But over the course of a long game, we had trouble. And, we don't need to litigate it anymore, again, as we head into a really tough stretch coming up with Oklahoma, Florida, and Vanderbilt. The defense has got to perform a little bit better. Just a little bit would make a difference.
Yeah, I think it starts with tackling better.
Yeah.
Being more consistent at tackling people in the open field, not letting, 7, 8, 9 yard throws turn into 15 and 20 yard gains, and fitting the run better, just doing the things that the really good the things that they did for the most part last year.
Yeah.
And I keep going back to the fact that Tim Banks, I know he's catching a lot of flack now. Imagine that, a coordinator catching flack.
Yeah.
Whose defense or offense isn't playing well. And some of it's justified, but I still think that they are good enough to play winning football on that side of the ball, especially when you got an offense that can score like Tennessee does. It never it never helps, and this is not an excuse. But I think if you took most defenses in the league and took their top 2 cornerbacks away from them for the entire season, that's tough. And now listen, we're far enough into the season right now where that's not an excuse. They haven't played. Gibson hasn't played, and certainly Jamal McCoy. I don't know that McCoy will play. I don't think we'll see him out there again this week. Maybe after the bye week, he takes a shot at it for his sake and for Tennessee's sake. I hope he can get back out there. He needs some more tape. He needs to be able to show the NFL, coming off an injury like that he can still play. But that's always tough, when you don't have your best 2 corners. And you're playing a freshman. You had some games early, their loss against Georgia. You were without 2 of your best interior defensive linemen. So there have been some things that they just haven't been able to recover from things like that. But I think the number one thing, if we set Tim down right now and talk to him, he'd say we got to tackle better.
Yeah.
When we have a chance to make a big tackle or a tackle to get off the field or a play to get off the field, we got to do that. And I think that's where it starts. And you're getting ready to play quarterback in Mateer, who is pretty good off script, who's pretty good extending plays, making things happen, rolling out. He can run the football. He's not afraid to run the football.
Yeah.
And we're a lot further out now from his surgery, but he should be a lot better equipped to throw the football after having that thumb surgery.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll talk a little more as we get to the latter half of the show about what lies ahead with Oklahoma. We're going to jump tracks now before our guest joins us and take a minute or two to kind of tee up the other news that mattered around here in the last week or so, and certainly over the weekend, as we saw Tony Vitello head west to become a major league manager with the San Francisco Giants. And then there was a little ensuing drama and chaos as to how he left and who would succeed Tony. But all's well that ends well. On Saturday, Danny White announces the guy that we all felt probably should have gotten the job, got the job. Josh Elander, top assistant to to Tony Vitello will take over the reins with the Vols. And Chris, I think that's about as good an outcome as you could imagine here.
Well, I think as fans, fans always want who they want. To me, this particular decision, the most important people were the players, and they clearly wanted Josh Elander, former players, current players. We hope to catch up with one of those in a minute, Reese Chapman.
Yeah.
One of the more experienced guys on the team. But they wanted to keep that thing going. And Josh Elander has been such a crucial part of what they've done there in baseball. He's been right there by Tony Vitello's side. I think the hitters, you go spend some time with Christian Moore, and we'll ask Reese what he's done for him and his ability to recruit great players. I mean, he's been a huge part of that recruiting machine. So I think the thing you want to always do is you want to listen to your players. And I think in this situation, Danny White did, and I agree, he made the right decision. I think we've got Reese actually.
Yeah, let's hear from one of those players, right?
Reese, thanks for joining us, man. We were just talking before we brought you on about, it's not every day you see a coach like a Josh Elander who has sort of really got his entire group of players, everybody who's played for him, former players, current players, who are out there endorsing him the way you guys were. What went through your mind, your teammates' mind? Just tell me your reaction when you heard you guys want to keep this show going with Josh as your head coach.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, thanks for having me. But I think everyone can tell based off that video, and the reaction that we had, and that was authentic. Like, that's who we wanted, and that's who we wanted to go to war with. And I mean, 5 of us had a meeting with Danny, and I mean, we just showed passion for the program. Um, we weren't trying to like sales pitch because he was getting an interview. But at the, to answer the second part of your question, is Elander's been there all the way ever since V has been here. So it's not only that he was the right guy for the job, but he deserves it, and he truly cares as like the relationship that he has built with every person that he has coached is different, and that's what everybody loves about him. He's the easiest coach to go up to and ask about anything. um but man, am I truly excited to go to war with him.
Reese, it's Bob. Appreciate you hopping on with us. I'm going to maybe put you on the spot a little bit on this one
Yeah.
because there was a lot going on. Obviously, we were seeing it, it was floating around social media that there were other interviews happening, et cetera. And I think about you, given the fact that you've been with this team for, in the program for some years now, and you're pretty key to this team, I think, heading into this next season. Did it ever cross your mind if Josh was not the guy in this day and age of kind of transient players kind of moving on and everything else, did it cross your mind about, man, depending upon who comes in here, I'm not sure I'm going to finish out my career at Tennessee?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, those thoughts crossed my mind. And the biggest thing was to have a positive outlook on knowing that E was prepared, and he was ready to be the new head coach, and to have faith in the Lord that he was uh, gonna do well in his interview, and Danny was gonna have a no-brainer and select him. But yeah, I mean, I was scrambling. There was a gray area in the transfer portal on whether if you'd be eligible or not. So it was kind of a scramble for the last week. I mean, asking my academic advisor, if there's any way I could graduate this December to make sure that I would be eligible. But at the end of the day, like I want to be in VFL. Like, I want to be involved through my whole career. It like really hurt, like having to try and scramble for these other methods of like, how am I gonna save my career at the same time, not only save it, but there was only one guy here that I would have played under that I would have actually enjoyed baseball, because I've built a relationship with E over the last 7 years. I mean, I've been committed to Tennessee since I was 15. So it would have really been a shock to try and scramble and create a relationship with somebody over 2 months.
We're with Reese Chapman. Reese, you've been a part of the greatest run in Tennessee baseball history. You guys all are. You guys are the backbone of, I think, what most people who've watched you guys play, I had the pleasure to be out in Omaha. Could you talk about the swing and emotions that all you guys had, not just you, from Tony leaving and the 3 or 4 days leading up to that? I know it was an excruciating decision for him. I know how emotional it was to leave you guys and what he built, but the swing and emotions from that, then not knowing all the stuff out there, and then to hearing, and as you said, that was an awesome video that Tennessee put out of you guys seeing that E was going to be your coach. But just from that point to when he was named, what it was like for all you guys.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of us, to be honest, I mean, we would have late nights sitting by a fire, and we tried not to think about it, but at the same time, we thought about it and we would talk about it. But what we really wanted to do was to try and rally together, or at least just hang out together every night, um, because we don't know if it's going to be our last time, or if we're going to have more of these throughout the year, based on what decision was going to come up on who was going to be our head coach. And so yeah, there was plenty of people freaking out, and I mean, who wouldn't? But at the same time, like, I respect the hell out of V. I told him, I have nothing but love and respect for him. Like, he told us that, I mean, he always preaches to challenge ourselves and to better ourselves within competing. And he was like, "Why can I preach that if I'm not going to go do the same?" And I was like, "That's the perfect answer." Like I want him to go challenge himself and succeed at the next level. Like, it was the right choice he made because it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. Um, but that I don't think it was selfish because he had to do it. It just left us in a little bit of a panic the last week. But now, since that's gone and over with, now we can get back to focusing on baseball and what truly matters.
Yeah, on that note, that was going to be my next question, Reese, is it's got to be a bit of a relief from that standpoint because they announce Josh taking over on Saturday. You guys are right back at it. You had practice yesterday. I think he's got a press conference coming up this morning. But what happens here now moving forward? It's just stay the course. It's almost like from a consistency standpoint, the beat goes on. Nothing much has changed.
Yeah, I mean, other than the new guys, the rest of the guys in the program, we know what works and what um, succeeds in the long run over a course of 56 in a season. So it's not that we're going to have any drastic change because V's gone to like the practice schedule or anything like that. It's we're just going to communicate way better, because over the last week communication was like not there. We didn't know anything. Nobody knew anything. So that, and then, I mean, it's just going and having fun playing baseball. Because yeah, the last week was really almost a stressful time. Like, you're trying to work on stuff, but at the same time, like, the mental side of just like thinking of all the possible outcomes, and it weighs on you. I mean, now it's just back to freedom and trust, and we have freedom and trust within each other and within the program to go out and do our jobs.
Reese, I think the thing with Josh that's so neat and talking to people there and around the program is, yeah, you guys have all sort of been a tight knit nucleus of what you've done, but he's also his own man. I think that's one of the big reasons he got the job.
Yeah.
Now, he's obviously beardless now. It's
Yeah.
weird seeing him without the beard. But how is he, for those people who don't know him, fans, because you don't hear, Tony was the one that was in front of the mic all the time the last few years. But who is Josh Elander? And from a player's perspective, what makes him so good?
Yeah. He's a competitor. He wants to win as bad as V wanted to win. There's no doubt about it. E is polar opposites of V. I mean, V showed a lot of emotion, and at the same time, Elander brings the same intensity, but he's very collective with his emotions, and it's all about respect and just going out and playing as hard as you can, and at the same time having fun playing baseball. And so there's nobody's better than nobody, but they just do different things and at the same time want the same results and and bring the same intensity that the players want to play like hard for. And so I mean, all the coaches that I've played with, I mean, you can go to E about anything. A lot, it doesn't have to be baseball related. I mean, he's got plenty of advice for everybody, and but he's just a well respected guy, and that has a lot of respect. I mean, he grew up in Texas, and uh, yeah, I mean, I would just say that he's just very calm, cool, and collected, and at the same time wants to win super bad.
Reese, I got one more question for you, and that's about kind of the road ahead. There's been so much talk about, rightfully so, the leadership change and what needed to happen there. But boy, by all accounts, and the guys at Rocky Top Insider who have been covering the practices, the scrimmages, everything, have said the same thing. This team, this is why I'm happy that things got resolved quickly. This team, again, feels like another loaded edition of the baseball Vols. You're seeing a lot of these new guys coming in, freshmen, transfers, what have you. How are you feeling about what you're seeing with your new teammates?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I love it. Uh, I feel like we have a lot of depth and we have a lot of healthy competition. Um, Through this past week, I think it only strengthened us and united us as a team to rally behind each other, and even more so than the beginning of the fall. And so I think everyone's out there wanting to see everybody do something special or consistent, and no one's preying on each other's downfall. So it's only helping us there as a team aspect, but it's also elevating everybody's game because there's a lot of competition going on. And the the thing with E is he wants to make it as hard as possible, um, to make it on the field, and then to stay and basically start at a position because he wants that much competition in that locker room, and I think that's what we have, and it's a good thing because it just elevates everybody else's game, and I think we just go out there and play free now.
Reese, man, we really appreciate you taking the time this morning. I know fans were equally excited, and anybody who's had a chance to go over there and watch you guys play the last few years know an event it has become in and around Rocky Top, and just the passion you guys play with, and just a fun team to watch play. And your insight and perspective means a lot. We appreciate that. Be sure that Adam goes and buys you lunch at Gus's this week or next week. Tell him I said that. But I do appreciate you, bro. And we look forward to seeing you guys this version of the baseball Vols. Gosh, hard to believe you guys will be cranking up here in another
Yes,
3
sir.
months on the field. So wintertime in Rocky Top baseball. I've sat through some cold, rainy days in February watching you guys play, but I'm looking forward to it, man.
Thank you for having me.
Okay.
Thank you, Reese. that was good. It's good to hear, because those are the guys that have. That was what I was concerned about, Chris, was some of the potential collateral damage we could have had in this type of situation with a coaching change, et cetera. There was obviously a coaching change, but there was one way to calm the waters, and we weren't sure how that was going to happen for a couple of days, but thankfully it took the right course.
It's the whole group. I mean, Reese talked about Elander, but I guarantee you, if we had him on for another 5-10 minutes, that core is in place.
Yeah.
Elander, Frank, Q, the strength coach, Ross Kivett. The coach will tell you. I guarantee you, if we had V here right now, he would tell you there's a reason that nucleus has been kept together. Now, Q left briefly to go work in the major leagues. He's back. Ross Kivett left briefly. He's back. But to keep those guys together, and clearly you listen to Reese's interview, how much faith they have in Elander.
Yep.
And then that staff, there are no guarantees. Listen, we've seen this type of thing work before, where a guy was beloved by the players and an assistant, and he was promoted, didn't work out as well. We've seen it work where that team went on to win more championships.
Yeah.
I think is having been around that program pretty closely for the last few years, to me, and I think he used these words, it's not my words, it was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
A no-brainer. Danny White had a layup. And I commend Danny for going out and talking to other people, because you never want to do this. To me, the worst, I wouldn't say it was a slap in the face, but the worst thing that could have happened for Josh is Danny just to say, okay, Josh has been here, he's done a good job, we're going to hire him. No, you go talk to people. You have people to compare him to, other visions from other coaches, sitting head coaches. He talked to sitting head coaches, and he comes back, no matter what the process delivered or didn't deliver, he comes back to the right decision, and that's to hire Josh Elander as the next baseball coach at Tennessee. It's a win for the program. It's a win for Tennessee fans. I'm happy for Josh. Josh deserved it. He had other opportunities. He could go to Texas.
Yep.
He had a chance to go to Texas as an assistant soon after V, or right around the time V left, but he stayed. He hung in there. He believed. His kids believed in him, and the Tennessee admin got it right.
Yeah, agreed. So onward and upward for Vol baseball. All right, before we press on, I wanted to take a moment, talk about our new sponsor, the Tate Insurance Group. Now, if you're not familiar with them, I'll break it down for you a little bit. They're your local insurance team, and I stress that word local. They're proud to call East Tennessee home. Just like our Vols, they know what it takes to overcome obstacles, to give their all, and show true volunteer spirit for our community. From home and auto to business coverage, they do life insurance. They provide personal service you can count on. And again, they are about what you care about, because this is where they live too. Matter of fact, my guy CeeLo, as he mentioned earlier in the show, he's a longtime satisfied customer. And as a matter of fact, I'm in discussion with them myself on a possible plan as well. So check them out. You can learn more about them at TateInsuranceGroup.com. They're reachable by phone at area code 865-862-8233. Tate Insurance Group, local, trusted, and always in your corner right here at home. Time to move on and talk a little college basketball, because it's crazy to think we aren't even in the month of November. But the Vols got an early taste of what March may feel like with an exhibition against preseason number 6 nationally ranked Duke. The Blue Devils come to Knoxville, and to my recollection, other than them playing in a regional way back when, I think this was the first time they've come to Knoxville to play the Vols, Chris. I don't recall another time. Do you?
They played, I don't know where the game was. They played Duke back in the Grunfeld King years.
Okay.
Way back, which shows how old I am, in the 70s. And I don't know if it was 76 or 77. They played somewhere around that time. They may have played later on too, in a tournament somewhere when Howard Wood and Gary Carter and Dale Ellis and those guys were on the team. But it's been a while. But to have Duke come to Knoxville and basketball is a pretty big deal. And this Duke team, which is going to be heard from all year long. And I saw where John Shire said this, and he's right. It says a lot about Tennessee, though, and Rick, to be able to get, and it was Duke, I'll grant you that, but to get that kind of crowd there on a Sunday night for an exhibition, a game that doesn't count, doesn't mean anything in the long run. Yeah, you get a sneak peek at the team, and everybody wanted to see some of those guys play Gillespie for the first time. But, boy, I think back to some of the wasteland years in Tennessee basketball.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't imagine, even if it had been Duke or Carolina or whatever coming for an exhibition, you never would have gotten a crowd like that. So, again, kudos. You love to see good things happen to good people. They don't get any better than Rick Barnes and the way he's built this Tennessee basketball team and made it much like Tony, two different people, two different personalities, but has made it something that Tennessee fans can really hold on to here in the community.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I was at the game, and it was amazing. Like you said, the fact that it was an exhibition and the atmosphere was like it was, sold out months ago for Thompson Bowling Arena at Food City Center. So it sure didn't feel like a late October game that doesn't count. And that's the thing. I mean, yeah, of course you want to win. It would have been a great way to end the weekend. Tennessee raced out to a halftime lead, up 6 at half, but then they got bullied in the second half, particularly in the first 5 or 6 minutes. They lost to Duke 83-76. Now, the reminder here, and we talked with Coach Barnes on my radio show about this on Thursday, it is an exhibition. Some people might start to do the whole, oh boy, not sure what I think about this team. Well, just to put it in perspective, last year, Tennessee played Indiana in an exhibition, and they lost that one by double digits. And Rick would tell you that that was one they could have won. But at the 10-minute mark in the second half of that game, he started making roster changes, not roster, but on the court personnel moves. And he knew, he was like, I got to see what, that's really what the purpose of these are, is to get a feel for what he's going to do with his rotations, and obviously to have his guys play against some other players that are not their own teammates. But he even said, he goes, I probably lost us that game last year in that exhibition, but that's really not the point of the exhibition. So that's what we have to remember. Quick observations, and then I want to pick your brain a little more on this, CeeLo, is as far as the Vols go, you're right. Nate Ament, Jacoby Gillespie, there's been a lot of talk about them in these scrimmages and how good they've looked. So that show last night was not quite as good as we probably wanted, but I still thought I saw things that were good, and it's going to be really good. Nate was 5 of 19 from the field, so he was definitely working to find his shot. I don't doubt for a second that there might be some jitters playing in front of a crowd that large, playing against Duke. Still finished with 14 points and 10 rebounds in 33 minutes. Jacoby Gillespie, 5 of 21 from the field, 3 of 13 from three-point range. And this guy looked like throughout the scrimmages I had seen and the highlights I had seen, looked like a guy that couldn't miss. But again, game conditions against a really tenacious Duke defense, very different. He had 19 points, 8 assists, great game. Felix Okpara looks like he might have taken the step because he hit some shots that I don't think he would have hit last season, Chris. 11 points and 8 boards. The one that I would also say that popped, and Rick talked about this guy with me on Thursday, and I'm sure you've heard about him too, true freshman Dwayne Brown. This guy played only 13 minutes, had 10 points, 6 boards, highly efficient, and you can just tell right now he feels like a Barnes guy for sure.
Yeah, and he'd mentioned him to me as well. I think that this is a team. They're going to get better. You're right. The Indiana game last year, I thought about that last night at the end of the game. Nobody remembered that Indiana game at the end of the year. But, Rick's going to look at different combinations. He wants to see how different guys play together on the floor at the same time. Maybe he looked at some I think there were a couple of times I looked at the combos out there and thought, I don't know that we're going to see that a lot this year. But at least he gets a chance to look at it and see how they play. If they want to go big, if you want to go smaller, those types of things. How do the bigs play with each other? Who plays better? Who passes better when they're in the game together? Gillespie will shoot the ball better.
Sure.
He's a really good shooter. He did not shoot great last night. I think Ament's one of those guys that he's just got to learn. And I don't care how talented you are. When you get into with the big boys, you've got to learn to be able to score and absorb contact. You know, you're not so much bigger and better than everybody you were playing like you were in high school and in the AAU circuit. You got guys just as big, just as talented, probably stronger at this point in your career. And I think that's the thing as I watched him play. He's got to be able to finish around the rim with contact, and I think he will. Clearly he's a 6'10" kid who's got the hand-eye coordination of a guard, the way he handles the ball. And so that's the thing. And the Boozer kid at Duke is just, I said to you before the show, Boozer looks like a man right now. He plays like a man.
Yeah.
Amen's not there yet. He's sort of got to grow into that type of player. And they're different types of players anyway. But that's the thing. Those are the two things. They just got to finish better. Rick had expressed to me when we talked last week that the great thing about all of them, and I think you throw Estrella in there too, they're bigger guys, is they just got to be more effective at finishing around the rim, finishing in the lane. And I think that's where this probably will be, I think should be his best front court since he's been at Tennessee. Certainly when you throw Amen in there, and that's the thing to look for going forward is do they make some of those shots that they didn't necessarily make last night or haven't made some in some cases this preseason. But now I like the makeup of this team. They got to find, I think two things. They got to find another shooter from the perimeter. They got to find someone that they can count on to knock down shots, Bob. It can't be Gillespie all the time. And, boy, they really need somebody to continue developing as a backup point guard. You don't want to play Gillespie 37, 38 minutes every night. Yeah. You really like to play somebody in there that's a little bit that can give him some rest. And then, if he goes down for part of the season or he's got, a high ankle sprain or something that's plaguing him for a week or so, you want to have somebody else you can count on who could be your lead guard.
Yeah. And to your point, the one guy I would say keep an eye on, we've heard about this guy. I was pretty impressed with him last night because he can knock down. He knocked down a couple threes, and I felt like he was working in rotation where Jacoby almost moved to the 2 guard, and he was running point, and that's Ethan Berg. This kid, I think, is one that we shouldn't sleep on him. I think we're going to see him. He played about 15 minutes last night. I could see him being an interesting component to that offense. And like I said, maybe even moving Jacoby almost to the 2 guard sometimes. And that's some versatility that Rick hasn't had for a while, I think, if these guys can emerge. The last thing I'll say to put a bow on this, we did talk about it, but I got to give this guy his flowers. This Cameron Boozer kid, like you said, Chris, grown man, 24 points, 23 rebounds, 6 assists, played 39 minutes. He was unstoppable, man. Duke's going to be very, very good yet again. And what's crazy, they have another kid, Isaiah Evans, who was part of that big freshman class last year with Cooper Flagg and Con Knipple and Common Malwatch, and he barely played. And that guy had 23 last night. He's a player. So John Shire is going to be just fine. Duke looks very, very good.
Yeah, I talked to my good friend Jeff Goodman, who covers hoops like nobody else's business. He's with us now on 3. He called it. I talked to him a few weeks ago and asked him about it. And he said, "Listen, he's got mega skills, but he said it's going to take a while. He's going to have to grow and get used to the contact." He said the freshman, he said it. I mean, that's not me. He said the Boozer kid will come right in and be dominant. And he certainly looked the part last night. So
absolutely,
again, different players, but I do like the fact they've got a guy at 6'10" who's got the skills that Emmett does. He can get his own shot, Bob. There's something to be said for having a guy that big who can get his own shot. Tennessee really hasn't had that.
Yeah,
Barnes. I think he's that. And I think one of the things you're going to see too is he's going to get more confident and be a guy that will look for his shot even more.
Yeah. Sounds like you have a dog that's a Nate Ament fan. So,
he's barking. He's ready for us to get off. He said we've been too long-winded.
Yeah. Well, we got a couple more minutes as we wrap up here. And the Vols begin the real regular season, by the way, next Monday at home against Mercer. So it's coming fast. So let's look ahead for the week ahead. The Vols, by the way, moved up to number 14 on both the AP and coaches poll, moved up 3 spots. They'll be facing number 18 Oklahoma. The Sooners coming to town on Saturday night, dark mode game, 7:30 p.m. Tennessee, a 3.5-point favorite so far. Simple equation here, Chris. This is another college football playoff elimination game for both teams in my mind.
Yeah, there's going to be a really good SEC team to get, maybe two, to get left out of the playoff this year.
Yep,
Bob.
I
Bank
agree.
on it. I think Notre Dame's sort of the X factor a little bit. Do they get in at 10-2? They still have, I think their toughest game left is at Pitt.
Yeah.
And if they lose one more, they're out.
Right.
And I don't know if they make it at 10-2. They might. They lost 2 in a row, but they would have won 10 in a row. So we'll see. But there's going to be a 10-2. I know SEC people don't want to hear this. There will be a 10-2 SEC team that gets left out this year.
I agree.
And that's why this one, to your point, is so important for both clubs, Oklahoma, Tennessee. At one point, I thought, well, maybe a 3-loss SEC team gets in this year. I don't think so. Not unless things just fall apart for everybody else, because you got a Georgia Tech in the ACC that's unbeaten.
Yeah.
Hard for me to see Miami not getting in. BYU's unbeaten in the Big 12. So they're going to be probably 2 out of each of those leagues. I think the SEC does get 4, but do the math right now. If you who are the best 4 teams? Who are the best 6 teams? A better question is, it drives me crazy, is who have the best 6 resumes at this point?
Yeah.
I mean, because we could sit here all day and say, well, I think Alabama's the best team. No, I just saw Texas A&M live. Let me tell you, A&M's legit. They're really good. Physical. But who will have the best resume at season's end, which, again, is why being in Oklahoma, beating a Vandy, you got 2 shots now at ranked teams if you're Tennessee. Let's see if they can take care of business.
Definitely. Another one with big implications, number 9, Vandy, who we've talked about. They head to Austin to play number 20, Texas. And it's crazy to think Texas could be in this group you're talking about if they could go and win out. Now, they got A&M later in the season, which will be tough, but that's a huge game as well. Got to mention the world's largest cocktail party, where number 5, Georgia, will face Florida, who begins their post-Billy Napier era. Probably shouldn't be an issue for Georgia, but you just never know in that game. And then you mentioned Texas A&M and Alabama. They're both idle this week. So big weekend again, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to this Oklahoma game. That should the big game implications are going to make that one a little stressful for fans. But, hey, that's okay. We're right there. Where would you rather be than in the mix on these kind of conversations, right?
You know who's looking forward to this Oklahoma game more than you?
Who?
The head football coach of Tennessee.
Yeah, good point.
I can promise you
that
nobody at Oklahoma gets Christmas cards. I shouldn't say nobody. He's still got a lot of close friends, Josh does, that he played with at Oklahoma that were there at the game last year, some of them on his sideline.
Yeah.
His sideline. It shows you his rapport with some of his teammates when he was there at Oklahoma. But anybody in admin, anybody that had anything to do, Bob Stoops, one in particular.
Yeah.
I don't think Josh sends those people Christmas cards every year. I don't think that you're not going to get him talking a whole lot about his time. Even though he was a great player, had a great run, he's not going to talk a lot about his time at OU. So last year, that was a big one for him to go in there and win. And now that they come to Knoxville, I can promise you nobody would like any better than him to beat him 2 straight times.
No doubt. Hey, let's say we do this one again next week, man. I appreciate you spending time with me as always, Chris. It's a lot of fun, and have a good week ahead for sure.
Yeah, well, thank you, and we thank Reese Chapman for joining us. Great insight on what Josh Elander means to that team, and thanks to Scott Tate, my good buddy, for hopping aboard. He is again, when I was looking for insurance 20-some years ago, I wanted someone, as you said, who was local, who was entrenched in the community, and he is every bit of that. So thanks to him. But Bob, I look forward to doing this again next week, and we'll know, I think, who sort of wins the play-in game, at least for now. Oklahoma, Tennessee, as we look ahead to the playoff.
No doubt. Yeah. We'll recap that ultra critical matchup with Boomer Sooner. Probably talk a little basketball as the Barnes boys will get ready for that season opener beginning of next week. So a lot on tap. Hope you can join us then. Make sure you like and subscribe to the show on YouTube, the Rocky Top Insider channel. like and subscribe, download our podcast wherever you listen to the pods. Appreciate you being a part of this show. Appreciate you listening to us and supporting us. We'll be back again next week with another episode of the RTI Lowdown. Until then, I'm Bob Baskerville for Chris Lowe. Have a great week ahead.